7 Terrifying and Unexplainable Creature Encounters. 1. In the darkness of the night, I found myself wandering through the dense forest, the moonlight barely piercing the thick canopy. A chill ran down my spine, an eerie feeling that I was not alone. Unnerved, I quickened my pace, my heart pounding in my chest. A rustling sound echoed from behind, causing me to turn, but there was nothing there. As I continued on, the rustling grew louder, closer. Each time I glanced over my shoulder, the shadows seemed to dance, concealing whatever was following me. My steps were heavy, my breath shallow, as a sense of dread washed over me. There was a presence, something sinister, stalking me with relentless determination. A twig snapped nearby, and I froze in my tracks, the cool sweat of fear trickling down my forehead. The moonlight caught a glimpse of movement, a fleeting silhouette, tall and distorted. Panic surged within me as I stumbled forward, branches clawing at my skin. My mind raced, searching for a logical explanation, but reason crumbled in the face of the inexplicable. With every step, the creature's presence grew stronger, its heavy breath mingling with my own. A guttural growl reverberated through the air, sending shivers down my spine. I dared not look back, fearing that my gaze would meet those unnerving eyes, burning with an otherworldly hunger. I stumbled into a small clearing, my chest heaving, my legs trembling. The moonlight revealed a glimpse of the creature, a monstrous form, neither animal nor human. Its limbs twisted in unnatural angles, its skin a sickly hue that seemed to absorb the light around it. The very sight of it sent terror coursing through my veins. I knew I couldn't outrun it, couldn't escape its relentless pursuit. Desperation took hold, and I let out a scream that echoed through the night. The creature responded with a bone-chilling shriek, a sound that seemed to pierce through my very soul. It was toying with me, enjoying my fear. As the night wore on, I realized there was no escape from this nightmare. The creature circled, its presence suffocating, its every movement calculated to keep me on edge. My mind teetered on the brink of madness as I grappled with the inexplicable horror that had befallen me. And so, I remained trapped in this chilling dance with the unknown, a mere plaything for a creature whose motives I can't comprehend. The night stretches on, and I am left to wonder if I'll ever see the light of day again, or if I'm destined to be another tale lost to the depths of the forest. 2. As the clock struck midnight, I walked the deserted streets of the city after a night at the bar. The neon lights flickered eerily, casting long shadows that seemed to dance with my every step. A cold breeze sent shivers down my spine, but it was nothing compared to the unease growing in my chest. I quickened my pace, feeling as if I were being watched. Glancing over my shoulder, I caught a glimpse of a silhouette lurking in the darkness. My heart raced as I continued, convincing myself it was just my imagination. But every alley I passed seemed to conceal something sinister, something waiting to pounce. With each block I walked, the feeling of being pursued intensified. The soft, padding footsteps grew louder, echoing in my ears. I dared not look back again, fearing what I might see. My mind raced, conjuring up images of grotesque creatures with sharp claws and gleaming eyes. Turning onto a dimly lit street, I saw movement out of the corner of my eye. Panic surged as I glimpsed a figure slinking behind a dumpster. I broke into a run, my breaths coming in ragged gasps. The sound of pursuit grew more distinct, like something was mimicking my footsteps, getting closer with each stride. I sprinted past closed storefronts and empty parks, my heart pounding in my ears. I could feel the creature's presence right behind me, its breath hot on my neck. The streetlights flickered, plunging the area into momentary darkness, and in that instant, I saw it, a glimpse of twisted limbs and malevolent eyes. My apartment building loomed ahead, a beacon of safety that seemed impossibly far away. Adrenaline coursed through my veins as I finally reached the entrance. I fumbled with my keys, glancing back one last time. The creature was there, partially hidden in the shadows, a macabre grin etched across its face. I stumbled inside, slamming the door shut and locking it with trembling hands. The creature was gone, but its haunting image remained burned into my memory. Was it real, or just a product of exhaustion and alcohol? I may never know, but one thing was certain: the city's nights held secrets far more terrifying than I had ever imagined. 3. As the moon hung low in the ink-black sky, I laced up my running shoes and stepped out into the chilly night air. The soft glow of the streetlights offered a dim path along the deserted road. Each step echoed through the quiet neighborhood, creating an eerie rhythm that set my heart racing. I quickened my pace, trying to shake off the feeling of being watched. The shadows seemed to dance at the edge of my vision, and an unsettling unease settled in the pit of my stomach. My breaths came in shallow gasps as I pushed myself harder, the rhythmic thud of my footsteps the only thing breaking the silence. As I turned a corner, a shiver ran down my spine. I could have sworn I heard a rustling in the bushes nearby. I glanced over, but the darkness obscured any view of what might be lurking there. My pace faltered, but I forced myself to keep moving. It was just my imagination playing tricks on me, I reassured myself. But then, a low growl cut through the stillness, sending a jolt of panic through my veins. My heart hammered in my chest as I cast frantic glances around, searching for the source of the sound. The streetlights flickered ominously, casting distorted shadows that seemed to writhe and twist. A guttural snarl echoed from behind me, and I spun around, my breath catching in my throat. Two piercing, glowing eyes locked onto mine, burning like fiery embers in the night. My legs screamed as I sprinted forward, my mind consumed by a primal fear I had never known before. The creature's haunting growls grew louder, its presence unnaturally close. It moved with an otherworldly grace, slinking through the darkness as if it were made of smoke and shadow. The air turned frigid, and the very atmosphere seemed to pulse with an evil energy. I raced on, each step fueled by sheer terror. My lungs burned, but I dared not slow down. The world around me had transformed into a nightmare, and the once familiar streets were now a labyrinth of dread. I didn't know where I was running, I only knew that I had to escape. Suddenly, the streetlights all went out in a cascade of darkness, leaving me blind and vulnerable. My foot caught on an uneven patch of pavement, and I tumbled to the ground. As I scrambled to my feet, I felt a searing pain in my side, and I knew the creature was close. Desperation gave me strength, and I pushed myself to my limits, sprinting blindly through the inky void. I could hear its chilling whispers in the wind, its breath on the back of my neck. It was as if the creature was toying with me, relishing in my fear. Just when I thought I couldn't go on, a faint glow appeared in the distance. The moon emerged from behind a thick blanket of clouds, bathing the road in a pale, ethereal light. With a final burst of adrenaline, I pushed forward, my feet carrying me towards the safety of the moonlit path. As I stumbled into the light, the creature's malevolent presence retreated, dissolving into the shadows. Gasping for breath, I leaned against a lamppost, my heart still racing. The encounter remained unexplainable, a terrifying brush with something beyond comprehension, something that belonged to the realm of nightmares. 4. As the moon hung low in the sky, its pale light barely piercing the dense forest canopy, I felt a shiver run down my spine. The crackling campfire offered me little comfort, its warmth unable to dispel the unsettling feeling that I was being watched. My friends had already retired to their tents, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the eerie sounds of the night. I tried to convince myself that it was just my imagination, that the rustling leaves and distant hoots were nothing more than the usual symphony of the woods. But then, a twig snapped somewhere in the darkness beyond the fire's reach, and my heart raced. I strained my eyes, peering into the shadows, trying to catch a glimpse of whatever might be out there. Hours seemed to stretch into eternity as I sat there, paralyzed with fear, the embers of the fire slowly fading. I could almost feel the weight of a malevolent presence closing in on me. My mind raced with thoughts of every horror story I had ever heard, but nothing could prepare me for what I was about to experience. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a fleeting movement. A silhouette, indistinct and unnatural, seemed to dart between the trees. my breath caught in my throat as I struggled to comprehend what I was seeing. It was unlike any creature I had ever encountered before, a grotesque fusion of limbs and shadows, its form shifting and contorting as it moved. Panic surged through my veins, and I jumped to my feet, stumbling backwards in my haste to distance myself from the creature. I fumbled for my flashlight, desperately trying to pierce the darkness and reveal the monstrosity that now stalked me. Its steps were stealthy, deliberate, as if it were toying with me, relishing in my terror. I ran through the woods, branches scratching at my skin, leaves crunching beneath my feet. Each time I glanced over my shoulder, I caught a fleeting glimpse of the creature, its form ever-changing, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly malevolence. My heart pounded in my chest, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I stumbled into a clearing, my flashlight flickering as I desperately scanned my surroundings. The creature was nowhere to be seen, but I knew it was still out there, watching, waiting. Exhaustion began to overtake my fear, and I realized I couldn't keep running forever. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone and dialed 911, my voice shaking as I tried to convey the terror that gripped me. The distant wail of sirens grew louder, and I clung to the hope that help was finally on its way. But as the red and blue lights illuminated the trees, revealing the twisted forms of the forest, I realized that the nightmare was far from over. The creature was gone, leaving behind only the chilling certainty that I had encountered something beyond human comprehension, a creature that defied explanation and haunted the edges of our reality. 5. On a moonless night, I embarked on a solo hike through the dense, eerie woods. The scent of damp earth and the rustling of leaves accompanied my every step. Unease crept up my spine as the silence of the night seemed to suffocate the usual sounds of nature. With my flashlight cutting through the darkness, I pressed on, my heart pounding in rhythm with my footfalls. As I walked, a chilling sensation of being watched overcame me. I dismissed it as mere paranoia, attributing it to the eerie atmosphere. But then, an unearthly sound echoed through the trees, a low, guttural growl that seemed to come from all directions. My pace quickened involuntarily, and I dared not look back. My flashlight's beam danced nervously as I scanned the surroundings, revealing gnarled tree trunks and tangled undergrowth. Suddenly, the beam caught a glimpse of something unnatural, a pair of luminescent eyes, gleaming like cold embers, stared back at me from the shadows. My breath hitched, and I froze in place. The eyes seemed to float in midair, unattached to any discernible form. A sense of dread gripped me as those eyes closed in, disappearing momentarily before reappearing closer, closer still. Panic surged through me, urging me to flee, but a morbid curiosity kept my feet rooted to the ground. The creature's presence grew more palpable, its heavy, uneven breaths invading the once silent night. I stumbled over a tree root, my flashlight flickering and briefly casting the creature in a ghostly light. It was a twisted, grotesque amalgamation of limbs and sinew, with mottled skin that seemed to absorb the very darkness around it. My mind screamed at me to run, but my limbs felt leaden and unresponsive. The creature's eerie gaze bore into me, as if it could read my very thoughts. As dawn began to break, the creature's form gradually dissolved into the shadows, retreating just beyond the reach of my flashlight's trembling beam. Exhausted and trembling, I made my way back to the trailhead, my senses heightened and my heart still racing. I had survived the encounter, but the memory of those malevolent eyes and the inexplicable horror of the creature would forever haunt my dreams, a chilling reminder of the terrors that lurk in the depths of the night. 6. As I drove home from work that fateful night, the familiar route suddenly felt eerie and unsettling. The moon was obscured by thick clouds, casting an ominous shadow over the deserted road. My heart raced as a sense of unease settled in, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. With each passing mile, the feeling intensified. I glanced nervously in my rearview mirror, my breath catching as I saw a pair of glowing eyes reflecting in the darkness. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end as I realized that whatever was following me was not human. My hands trembled on the steering wheel as the creature's silhouette emerged from the shadows. Its limbs were elongated and twisted, its body hunched and unnatural. It moved with an unsettling grace, effortlessly keeping pace with my car despite my increasing speed. A cold sweat formed on my brow as I tried to rationalize what I was seeing. Was it some kind of animal? A trick of the light? But deep down, I knew that this was something far beyond my understanding. Its eyes never left me, their intense gaze burning into my very soul. I desperately dialed my phone, hoping to call for help, but the signal was mysteriously lost. Panic rose within me as the creature drew closer, its breathy, guttural sounds filling the air. My heart pounded in my chest as I swerved down the road, trying to lose the creature, but it seemed to anticipate my every move. Terror consumed me as I realized that I was trapped, alone with this unexplainable horror. The thought of what it might do to me paralyzed my every thought. The creature's eerie whispers echoed in my mind, a chilling symphony of otherworldly sounds that sent shivers down my spine. As the night wore on, I felt my strength wane, my fatigue threatening to overtake my fear. Just when I thought I couldn't take it any longer, the first rays of dawn broke through the darkness. The creature let out an agonizing shriek and vanished into thin air, leaving behind an aura of dread that lingered long after its departure. To this day, I can't explain what I encountered that night on that desolate road. The memory of those glowing eyes and that haunting presence still haunts my dreams, a constant reminder that there are things in this world that defy explanation and terrify even the bravest of souls. 7. In the dimly lit parking garage, a sense of unease settled over me as I fumbled for my car keys. The distant hum of flickering fluorescent lights seemed to heighten the eerie silence that surrounded me. Just as I reached my car, a low growl echoed from the shadows, freezing me in place. My heart raced as I slowly turned to see the source of the sound. A chilling wind swept through the garage, carrying with it a foul stench that made my stomach churn. My eyes strained to pierce the darkness, and then I saw it, a creature unlike anything I could comprehend. Its form was a grotesque amalgamation of twisted limbs, elongated fingers, and glistening, obsidian eyes that seemed to pierce through my very soul. Fear paralyzed me as the creature stepped forward, its disjointed movements a grotesque dance of terror. I fumbled for my phone, fingers trembling, desperately hoping its feeble flashlight could reveal more of the nightmare before me. The feeble beam illuminated patches of mottled, rotting flesh and jagged, uneven teeth, which seemed to writhe with every breath it took. My mind struggled to rationalize what I was witnessing, searching for any explanation that could bring a sliver of sanity to the situation. But reason crumbled in the face of the impossible, a creature that defied the laws of nature, a living nightmare made real. Panic surged through me, and I stumbled back, my legs colliding with a nearby wall. As the creature inched closer, its guttural growls turned into a cacophony of whispers, each voice unfamiliar and chilling. I was trapped, cornered by a terror beyond comprehension. My breaths came in ragged gasps as I fought to control the rising hysteria. There was no escape, no reasoning with the inexplicable horror that stood before me. With a surge of adrenaline, I bolted toward the nearest exit, my footsteps echoing in the emptiness. The creature's haunting whispers pursued me, growing louder and more maddening with every step. I burst through the exit, my lungs burning, and stumbled out into the cool night air, the sounds of the garage and the creature's malevolent presence fading behind me. But even as I left the nightmare behind, I couldn't shake the feeling that the encounter had left an indelible mark on my soul, a reminder that in the darkest corners of existence, there are horrors that defy explanation and terror that transcends comprehension.
Which story caught your attention the most? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, stay safe. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Check out my website in the description below to see what I'm writing. And just below that are some suggestions related to what we talked about today. Peace.